Welcome back, everyone. My people, there is fire on the mountain. Like, this is shocking. Prophet Isa Elbuba can't hold it again. You guys have seen how fat funding mission from US just exposed Ronald Mokre and co yesterday. Like today, hey, you need to come and hear what Prophet Isa Elbuba is saying concerning Christian genocide in Nigeria. You guys have seen how Nigeria government is trying so hard to cover the whole thing up. But the truth is that the whole world knows like what is going on in Nigeria when it comes to Christian genocide in Nigeria. According to Prophet Isa Elbuba, he said, "We cannot live in a country with double standards and double laws. What is happening is nothing short of genocide. I am calling on the whole world to help the Nigeria government uphold justice, protect its people, and restore peace. This is my truth." Not only that, after you watch this particular video, I'm going to put another video that is going to shock you. What UK journalists find out about Christian genocide in Nigeria. My people, these people went deep. These people witnessed it. You really need to watch this video and share it, because we cannot continue to pretend that everything is all right in Nigeria while Nigerians are crying and Nigeria government is trying to cover it up. Like, how long are we going to do this? Like, how long? If you are in Nigeria, are you not afraid seeing the numbers of bandits that are having peace deal with Nigeria government? My people, do you see the arms, like guns, these people came with in that peace deal meeting? Are you not bothered? What will now become the future of Nigeria? I think it's proper for you to listen to this UK journalist before Prophet Isa Elbuba, so that you will now conclude whether what these international communities, like what they are saying concerning Christian genocide in Nigeria, is true or not. Take a listen. Please do wait to subscribe for more updates. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Share it. Is very, very important, because Nigeria government need to wake up and do the needful, because enough is enough. Let them channel this energy they are using to cover up, to tackle insecurity. Take a listen.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's an absolute tragedy what is happening to Christians in Nigeria, and I want everybody listening to really get this and understand this statistic. Okay, they say, why Nigeria? Nigeria is responsible for 90% of all Christian persecution deaths worldwide in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
And no one hears about it. No one's talking about it. We see a lot of tragedies and issues that happen across the spectrum. We saw what happened in Israel, when Hamas came over and kidnapped and killed all these Israelis, and it got world attention, and
rightly so.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
And still gets world attention, and thank God. But the thing is the same thing is happening to Nigerians on a daily basis and gets no coverage whatsoever.
And has been happening on a daily basis since 9/11.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the things that I learned reporting on this, is that just, it was astonishing to me, is that on the very day that 9/11, that the attacks happened in the United States, the same people who were on those planes, and I mean in the sense of they were carrying the same flag and they were saying the same slogans and they were standing for the same ideology, walked into a village in northern Nigeria and massacred over 200 Christians. And that village was called Rankum, and it was renamed in the language of the Fulani terrorists, Muslim terrorists who were the ones who went and killed everybody. They took that village and they renamed it Mahanga, because it is essentially the command and control center of this genocide.
Yes, and the interesting part is that the Nigerian government knows it. The U.S. government should know it, and if they're paying attention, I hope they know it now. But this is where the majority of terror attacks are staged and launched from. And like I said, everybody in Nigeria knows where it's coming from. They see the terrorists coming in and out of Mahanga.
And they chose Mahanga. I mean, translated, the word means watchtower. Watchtower. Because it's on high ground. Mm-hmm. And it was perfectly positioned for them for what began as a series that's now more than 20 years of attacks.
20 years of attacks, and tens of thousands, no, I'd say hundreds of thousands, have now been killed, staged from that ground.
And wounded and forced out.
And so that's killed. Over 100,000 Christians have been killed. Now, let's talk about the people that are still alive. They're now in camps called IDP camps, which stands for internally displaced person. And we estimate that there's between 3 to 5 million IDPs right now. These are Christians without homes, without villages, that are living in camps.
These are people who've been robbed of everything they had, who've been forced off their land, and basically are mired in poverty and misery because very often the Nigerian government won't even acknowledge their existence.
No, they won't acknowledge their existence, and this it's a double-edged sword. So you have IDP camps. Then when the Nigerian government doesn't recognize an IDP camp within their own country, that means there's no UN, that means there's no Red Cross, that means there's no other NGO, official government organization, USAID, or what used to be USAID, means those people get zero help if the Nigerian government doesn't establish and say, this is an official camp. And we know that Nigeria government only recognizes 40% of the camps that exist. So that means 60% of these millions of IDPs get zero help from the outside world.
It also, it raises the curious question of why does the Nigerian government not acknowledge the existence of these people?
There's a few different reasons. One of the main reasons is the Nigerian government likes to lie to itself. And they also like to pretend that things are better than they actually are. And by doing so, if the Nigerian government says it doesn't exist, well, then the rest of the world says it doesn't exist. And that means Nigeria looks better on paper for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And it's like a dog and pony show that the Nigerian government likes to play.
Well, if you admit to the world that Christians are being systematically and intentionally massacred on your watch and cleansed from the land as they are being, then you have to do something about it. The world expects you to do something about it.
Well, then you're supposed to do something about it. So there's the other part of this is that, yes, the Nigerian government is complicit, especially in the last 8 years with 2 Muslim presidents in a row where they have turned a blind eye to the killings and have done nothing to stop it.
Well, when they actually know that killings are going to happen and they don't intervene.
Yes, and that's one of the things. So as part of our organization, we created Truth Nigeria, a outlet for journalists in Nigeria to tell the truth, because the Nigerian government doesn't want this information getting out. And if the Nigerian government doesn't say the story's getting out, they're not reporting it. And so we want to give an outlet to Truth Nigeria. So part of that project is we've been able to get intelligence and issue terror alerts. And so in 2024, we issued over 64 terror alerts.
And you issue a terror alert when what is happening?
So when we issue a terror alert, the police are notified, military is notified, local government officials are notified, the villages are notified. And
they're notified of what?
That there's an impending attack coming to your area.
And how do you know that?
Intelligence.
From having your ear to the ground.
From having our ear to the ground. We have our organizations operating in villages all over Nigeria, and people talk, people know things, and we've told people, if you hear something, you hear something, see something, let us know.
Okay, so just so people understand, you have your organization Equipping the Persecuted.
Yes.
And that does what exactly?
So Equipping the Persecuted was formed to be a boots-on-the-ground mission to respond to the attacks of persecuted Christians. So to the best of our ability and the resources we have, we try to respond to an attack within 48 hours with food, medicine, aid, anything we can do to help these people that have lost everything they had. And a lot of it, because when the villages are burned and razed to the ground, all the food supply is destroyed. Mm-hmm. They have no sleeping mats. They're just left with the clothes on their backs. Mm. And so the first thing they need is food. They need medicine. And then what became a big part of our mission is we now really help the wounded victims that are still surviving. Mm. So we pay for the medical costs of the surgeries. We send doctors in to treat the wounded.
Wow.
To help the kids that have machete wounds, bullet wounds. Mm. We try to patch them up and save as many lives as possible.
So you have that on the one side, and then you decided to invest in Truth Nigeria, which is an extraordinary journalism site.
Yes.
Anyone who follows me, you probably have seen it on my feed. I put your stories out and your work out because there really isn't. I mean, there's a couple of people. There's a great guy, Tom Garba, and he has TG News, and he's worked, with the journalists of Truth Nigeria in the past.
Yes.
These guys are kind of all cut from the same cloth. They live and work in this extraordinarily violent and dangerous area where Christians are being hunted every single day, and yet they go out and they document the massacres, and not just the killings, but the infrastructure and mechanism of the genocide.
Yeah.
Which involves, like you said, killing the food supply, right? So launching an attack right before the crops are about to be harvested.
Exactly.
And destroying everything.
Right. So that's one of the tactics that they use for terror is they'll wait till the farmers plant the crops, grow the crops, and right before harvest, they'll come in, kill the village, they'll destroy all the crops. I mean, it's a form of terror that is demoralizing because
you've got nothing left.
Because they have nothing left. And they worked hard all year long to raise these crops, and now they're completely destroyed.
Well, that's the thing that people don't realize, right? In America, you can just go to the store, you get whatever you want all year round. Over there, these people, where they live, there is nothing. There is no industry or anything. The crops are how they survive. They sell that crop once a year, and they live off that money for the rest of the year.
Money for the rest of the year. So now, imagine all that being taken away from you. You don't have television. You don't have power. They don't have running water. But making $100 a month means you're providing really good for your family. And all that's gone. Now you have nothing left. That is the terror that these Muslim terrorists are inflicting on Nigerian Christians.
And also the terror of being asleep in your bed at night.
Yeah.
And hearing the motorbikes, because these terrorists, they like to come in on motorbikes, and then they just massacre everything that moves.
Anything that moves, and the people that get killed most of the time are the ones that can't run fast enough, and that's the children and the elderly.
The pregnant moms.
The children, the elderly. And that's one of the most heartbreaking things that I see is what kind of animal would hack up a little child to death with a machete. Why? Why would you even do that? Why would you shoot a mother who's pregnant? Why would you burn an elderly person alive? This is the kind of stuff we are dealing with every week in Nigeria, and it's silent.
You are documenting history. Very, very true, because really the world would have no idea. And that's in part because the media in Nigeria is pretty much like the media here in the U.S. They sit in the capital cities, like in Abuja, and they parrot the government narrative, and they don't go out and witness the killings. They're not in the villages. They have no idea what's going on, but they write with absolute confidence that it's fake news and conspiracy.
Let me walk you through how Nigeria news operates.
Okay.
It's one of the most silly things I've ever seen, and it's laughable, but it's also super depressing at the same time. So, in order to get a story out of Nigeria and get it in Nigerian news, a government official has to call a press conference. And when the government official calls a press conference, that means the journalist can then show up, because all the journalists are getting money from the government to cover the stories. So if said government official doesn't hold a press conference, the story never happened, the incident it doesn't exist.
It's incredible. And, I have to say this because this will really, I think, help people understand what we're dealing with here. For years, the narrative of the Nigerian government has been parroted by the U.S. government. Yes. And they have literally blamed the killings on climate change.
Oh, my God.
I know it sounds incredible, climate change. And the reason they say that is because the people carrying out these attacks, the Fulani, who are mostly members of the Fulani tribe, which is a nomadic Islamic tribe, they say they're being forced to migrate because of climate change. And as they're moving south, because the north of Nigeria obviously is Muslim and the south is Christian predominantly. And so as they're moving south from the north of the country, they're going into these Christian areas, and that's where these clashes are happening.
Yeah. So let me explain this real fast for the average viewer.
You just have to take a moment and think about the absolute devastation and the goal of the United States Embassy, successive ambassadors, to literally pass this off as climate change. I don't think that there's a hell miserable enough for people like that. Oh,
they're going to be suffering eternal judgment for what they've done here on earth and their complicity and willful ignorance. Let me explain how this works as far as the farmer-herder clash and then climate change, whatever you want to call it. I can assure you that when the Fulani ethnic militia, the Muslim terrorists, go into Christian villages, they're not coming in with cattle. They're coming in on motorcycles with AK-47s and killing everything that moves, and then destroying and razing the entire village.
And yelling Allahu Akbar while they do it.
Allahu Akbar while doing it. And has nothing to do with climate change. These are nomadic herders that have 500-year-old view of cattle farming, which just takes cattle and roams them wherever they want to roam them, regardless of whose property or land they're on. They have no idea what a ranch is. They have no idea what modern farming is or what modern cattle raising is. But the fact is they don't care. It's not about nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. It has to do with they are systematically taking over Nigeria, and they want to make Nigeria into a Muslim caliphate. Okay.
Well, and if you go back historically, people don't realize that the capital of the Muslim north of Nigeria, Sokoto, was actually the capital of the first caliphate outside. Right when Usman bin Fodio, the first caliph, established the caliphate. So that was one of the earliest jihads.
Right, it was one of the earliest jihads, but then the rest of the tribes people in Nigeria and the other tribes that said, hey, we don't want this, defeated them and shoved them back up north.
Yeah.
And then Nigeria was majority Christian.
Yes,
for a long time.
There were African religions, but the British obviously came and brought Christianity.
But when they brought Christianity, Nigeria was 70% Christian.
Amazing.
Now it's 50-50. It's 50% Muslim, 50% Christian.
Because they've been killing.
Because they have been going back to their systematic jihad. Now, look, Islam has conquered every civilization it's touched since 640 AD through three methods of jihad. One, cultural jihad. We'll move in, we'll blend in with the population as we're a minority. Then they start gaining a population, having lots of kids. Then once they get a population, they do political jihad. All right?
And cultural.
Then cultural jihad. Then after political jihad, once they have the political cover to do the violence, they go into violent jihad and take over territory. And that is how they have systematically taken over all of northern Africa.
Well, and what's particularly interesting when you dig a little deeper is that the Fulani tribe doesn't just exist in Nigeria. They're in Sierra Leone and Senegal and right across the border, right? I mean, throughout the center and east of Africa and west.
And for some magical reason, every country they touch turns into war.
Yes, and when you
turns into genocide and turns into war. Every country that they touch ends up turning into genocide and war.
So in many ways, it's a power grab for the Fulani under the black flag of Al-Qaeda and Islamic Jihad and the authority of God, right?
Under the authority of God.
And the U.S. helps them.
The U.S. helps them, and
by blaming it on climate change.
By blaming it on climate change or turning a blind eye to doing it, and
putting a Band-Aid on a little bit of the humanitarian needs, but not fundamentally changing anything.
And say they're helping. So I want to go back to Mahanga. I'm going to tell you something you probably don't know, but in Mahanga, right, the place where they're launching attacks from,
that village,
the Norwegians have just been building new houses for terrorists.
Wow. The Norwegian Refugee Council?
Yeah, the Norwegian government has been building new houses and for people in Mahanga.
You cannot make it up.
They're building terrorist new houses in Mahanga as we speak.
The same village where not a single Christian has been allowed to set foot
If you go near
since
it,
that first massacre.
Yeah, if you go near it, you get killed.
Yes, I mean, I know, because when I was reporting on this story, doing this documentary film for Fox Nation, one of the things, Masara Kim, I asked him if he could go back to Mahenga, because we talked a lot about that and its importance in the origin of the genocide, and he was like, I can't get into the village because no Christian will, you'll just be murdered. But what we agreed on is that he would get as close as he could, and he would launch a drone, because I wanted to show people that, how it was geographically positioned to be the command and control, and we did that. One of the ways I began to understand that there was an organization, when you see these images of the bodies everywhere and people screaming and, and babies that have been killed, and awful videos that I've seen of, young pregnant Nigerian girl, Christian girl being beheaded while they cut her baby out at the same time. I mean, I've seen unbelievable things out of there. And when you realize it's not chaotic, actually, it looks chaotic. It's designed to look chaotic. But when you are removing the food supply, not just for a month or a few months, but for the annual food supply, when you're taking away people's ability to stay on the land, when you're burning down not just their crops, but their homes, and then you don't allow them to come back, and you're trying to instill terror in them, because let's not forget, Nigeria doesn't have the Second Amendment. So most of these people, the vast majority for 20 plus years, have been unarmed, and many of them asleep, right?
Well, Nigeria doesn't have a Second Amendment. They have no Second Amendment. The citizens are not allowed to protect themselves. And so when Nigerian Christians try to protect themselves, a lot of the time, the Nigerian government goes and disarms them, and a week later, they get killed by these Fulani Muslim terrorists with AK-47s and what the Nigerians refer to as sophisticated weapons, military-grade weapons, 50 caliber machine guns. So for some reason, Nigeria doesn't have a Second Amendment, but the terrorists can run around with military-grade weapons with no restriction whatsoever. But the minute Nigerians want to protect their own villages, protect their farms, they get disarmed by the Nigerian government.
No, they call them vigilantes, right? And they say it's illegal.
Well, yeah. Vigilantes can exist in certain areas. So certain state governments allow vigilantes to exist and to oversee and watch their villages, but they get no help. They get no support from the government. They get disarmed quite a bit by Nigerian officials, and then they're left for dead. And this is what we're dealing with. So as part of our ministry with equipping the persecuted, one of the things we do is we come alongside those village security teams, and we do give them training. We give them communications. We give them bulletproof vests. Anything that we can do within a legal basis to help them as much as we can is what we do.
And according to some of the Nigerians that I've spoken to, they reckon that you've helped about 400,000 persecuted Christians. Does that sound right?
Yes.
That's pretty amazing. In how much time?
Since 2020, so about 4.5 years.
Wow. It kind of draws you in, doesn't it? Once you start to, of course, anyone can hear, oh, there's a genocide, and they can think, oh, that's terrible. But once you start to understand what's really happening in Nigeria, you realize that this is part of a much bigger war. This is sort of a microcosm of something that's taking place in different ways to different degrees all across the world.
And it's all the same thing. It's Islam versus everything else it doesn't like. And what we're seeing in Nigeria, though, is a real-life jihad taking place right in front of us. It's playing out right before our eyes. It's not happening so much in other countries, although we're starting to see it in places like Congo, Burkina Faso, these other smaller African countries up north that are now full-on Muslim military dictatorships. And the same thing is about to happen in Nigeria unless we put a stop to it. Now, what separates Equipping the Persecuted from other organizations and NGOs is I have the lofty goal of stopping the persecution. I start from a winning premise. I don't want to just come in and put a Band-Aid on a situation. I actually want to stop the persecution any way possible.
What do you mean? When you say any way possible, that sounds ominous, but do you mean it to be ominous?
On the ground, political, spreading the gospel, getting involved in any way we can to stop the persecution.
Well, here's something that I think most Americans probably don't realize, and it's something that really shocked me when I found out, is that, as you know, the last Christian president of Nigeria was Jonathan.
Good luck, Jonathan.
Yeah, good luck, Jonathan. It's just a fabulous name, right? Good luck, Jonathan. And I remember he was ruling Nigeria when Obama was in office. Obama didn't like Nigeria's stance on homosexuals and Christians. Well, I'm saying Christians, but
yeah.
That was an issue for him with Uganda and with Nigeria. There you have the most populated nation in Africa, some of the most important trade routes for the world.
Yes.
And yet the first black president of the United States didn't make it to visit Nigeria, which was one thing. So in his second term, he sends John Kerry, who was then Secretary of State.
Yep.
And where does John Kerry go? Not to the capital, the Christian capital in the south, not to Abuja.
He goes up north.
To Sokoto.
Yes. Meets the Sultan of Sokoto.
To the historic Islamic head of the caliphate.
Yep.
To go, and by the way, the election campaign was happening. And at the time, Jonathan Goodluck was running against Muhammad Buhari, who was the Muslim candidate who had been in the military, who had been responsible for a coup previously, so not known to be the greatest Democrat.
Oh, he's a terrorist.
Yeah.
Buhari was a terrorist. And did you know that Obama sent Democrat campaign operatives to help Buhari beat Jonathan?
Yes, David Axelrod.
Yeah, sent David Axelrod.
Help manage his campaign.
To Nigeria to help the guy that was responsible for terrorism and was on the side of killing Christians. The Democrats sent one of their biggest campaign guys down to Nigeria to help defeat a Christian candidate.
Which sent a message to the country of Nigeria that the United States backed Muhammad Buhari and not Goodluck Jonathan.
Correct. And it was devastating. And ironically, so let's look at the big picture. I'm sorry. Let's look at the big picture here. While Obama is helping Buhari get elected, we also saw the Arab Spring happen. The Arab Spring all across the Middle East, where all these dictators were, removed, destabilized, which essentially then created ISIS and created the full radical Islamization of all these Middle Eastern countries. And at the same time, he's helping the radical Muslims in Nigeria take over Nigeria.
Well, this is starting to sort of emerge as a consistent pattern.
Yes.
With Obama more and more. I mean, I didn't see that for many years. In the beginning, I was in Cairo when he made his speech to the Muslim world, and I feel like such an idiot now. I really didn't understand what he was doing. I mean,
yeah, he didn't fundamentally change the U.S. He fundamentally helped change the world for the worse. And how many people have been massacred and killed because of that radical Islamist push and backing that Obama did?
Well, over 100,000 Christians in Nigeria alone.
In Nigeria alone. Now, how many Christians dead in Syria? How many Christians dead in Egypt? How many Christians dead in Iraq?
Well, you can there's a direct correlation with Nigeria that is just astonishing. The fact that David Axelrod, a well-known American political operative, is working on the campaign of an Islamic candidate, is running against a Christian president. Yes. I mean, you just can't make that up.
No, you can't make it up. And it did happen. It did happen, folks. I'm going to look at the camera. It did happen. They did it.
So when you look at that and then you put that together with the fact that the U.S. is still trying to blame this on climate change, and then you look at what Obama did, to make it harder for Nigerian Christians to come as refugees to claim asylum in the U.S.
Yeah.
Trump went some way to addressing those issues. Then Biden sent it back, turned back the clock, and now Trump is looking at addressing it again. But you have to wonder if the Office of Faith that Trump has created, and then the Doesn't he have an office now in the DOJ to investigate the persecution of Christians?
Persecution of Christians,
Yes.
So we have been actively working, trying to contact people in the State Department, people in the new administration, to advocate on behalf of Nigeria. Right now, it's just kind of at the bottom of the list with all the other stuff that they're going on, the cutting, the gutting that's happening. But we as Equipping the Persecuted are actively contacting politicians and people in the State Department to say, hey, something needs to be done about Nigeria, and it needs to be done now. And it has to go farther than the big push of designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the opportunity, right, for the State Department to raise their hand and say, okay, we're not gonna stand by any longer.
Right. We're not going to stand by any longer. And I advocate for a very strong foreign policy in regards to Nigeria, predicated on the safety and the protection of Christians in Nigeria.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, because one of the things that I just don't understand is why there are so few Christian leaders, whether they be church leaders, or the Vatican or anybody else, that seems to care about a genocide that is literally happening on their watch.
Well, let me go into some of that, if you wouldn't mind. In Nigeria, there's a very corrupt Christian class. And the Christian leaders in Nigeria are extremely corrupt. And they're actually paid by the government to toe government talking points and to toe the line and to say the government talking points. So when Christian leaders in the U.S. say, oh, we want to talk to Christian leaders in Nigeria, they're getting paid to look the other way and say, oh, no, it's not that bad here. And I can point to several examples of that happening. And I can also point to key people in major religious organizations. And I spoke to a gentleman who's very high up in a Catholic organization. It was about 2 months ago, very high up in the Catholic organization, getting responsible for millions of dollars to help Christian efforts. And this guy is touted that he goes to Nigeria all the time, goes to Nigeria and helps out people in Nigeria all the time. And I had a chance to sit face to face with him at a lunch. And I said, sir, I've been to Benue State. Benue State is 90% Catholic, one of the most Catholic regions in Nigeria. Now, he's Mr. Catholic guy. And I said, I've been to Benue. I've been to the IDP camps. I have people on the ground in Benue. And I said, you said you've gone to Nigeria 1 million times and done all this stuff. And I said, in regards to Benue, I looked at him, I said, where are you? Because I see no fruit of your efforts anywhere. And he proceeded to tell me that Christians weren't being persecuted in Benue, that it was just tribal clashes.
Seriously?
Dead serious. And I found out later that he was also getting some money from USAID.
And who was this person?
I can't say right now. I can't say right now. But I was very, 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 very upset, and I wanted to reach across the table and punch him.
I don't blame you.
But this is indicative of what's going on with some of these large organizations that claim to be Christian. If they had their hands in government money, they're also not allowed to say Muslims are killing Christians in Nigeria.
Well,
because they're on the take.
That is a disappointing story that seems to be all over the world.
So you want to know why people aren't talking about it? Because it is still, even in many Christian circles, even so-called conservative Christian circles, it is politically incorrect to say that Muslims are killing Christians in Nigeria.
Yes, I can see that.
But even Christian leaders in America are protecting and somehow wanting to keep that politically correct line.
Nigerians, I have come today to share with us the bitter truth about the Christian genocide and the rebirth of a nation. We live in a very, very, very sensitive period in the history of our country. I want to thank the millions of Nigerians that have committed themselves to seeing that we fight a just cause. I've seen the hundreds of thousands of responses, and I thank God that from all that I've seen, 97% of Nigerians want to, for one, stand up for what is truth and what is right. And at this moment, I'm going to read some things that I put down and penned down. But I'm speaking to you in the midst of all the threats, some of the threats that some people have tried to instigate, to threaten me, and to try to cow me down. But I've refused to keep silent, and I've refused to be cowed down. It's not about me. I am a father and a blessed grandfather of 8 grandchildren. I can live like any other person and be silent and just cruise with life and just enjoy life and forget about the suffering of the people. But I've seen that the greatest thing that can happen in a life and in a nation is for a person to live for the glory of God and for the blessing of humanity. Money, silver, gold, position will all fade away. Buhari is no more. He was part of the people that brought in bandits together with some of the politicians in this country. So it's not that you don't know who were the people that established Boko Haram. The social media will always keep the records. Even when some traditional rulers in the north were saying if you touch a Boko Haram, it is a fight against Islam. What we're seeing that is going on, it started with wiping away Christians first. I raised my voice. Most of you Nigerians are witnesses that the president of Nigeria and the government of Nigeria went after me because of speaking the truth against genocide, against the killer Fulani headsmen that were not proscribed as terrorists, and IPOB was proscribed, and the Yoruba agitators were also proscribed as terrorists. We can't live in a nation with double standard and double law. I am a northerner. I love the north. I love my people. And I am paying the price for the lives and the destiny of my people. I've been on the road for several days. There is no state that I've not gone to. In this year, I have been to over 20 states in Nigeria. Right now, I am speaking to you from South Nigeria. I travel by road. I see the real Nigeria. I see what the true Nigerians are going through. I didn't come here as a politician. I came as the voice of conscience. This is not just another statement. And I want to speak to the younger people. Nigeria is your country. You see the president of Nigeria, President Tinubu, give him the next 10 years, he will become vegetable. The next 10 years, he will need help because they are aging. We are aging. I'm a grandfather. You must know that you don't have any other nation like Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country that will give you all that you need to be able to exercise your potential if you do what is right. So don't be carried by certain deception or mockery. I can't pronounce the name well. It's a shame for you as a young man to stand to back lies, lie physically. I am grateful to the Americans. I am grateful for the people in the World Cup who stood with banners to tell the world that the Nigerian Christians are under genocide and they need to be defended. As much as the defense of all the Muslims that are being killed right now. When they were killing people in Katsina, when they were killing people in Zamfara, I stood up and I spoke against that killing. But you will never find Christian militias. What you find is Islamic militia. Listening to the teaching of 80% of Islamic scholars, all their preaching is death to the Christians, death to the infidel. And if any Muslim is a moderate Muslim, they will say, kill him. That's why the knot is boiling until we speak the truth to ourselves. Until we speak the truth to ourselves. And I'm speaking with pain in my heart. Unless we speak the truth to ourselves. So that you can't continue to be sitting on the seat of lies and deception. Northern leaders, you cannot. Look at now recently, look at what the National State Governor just said yesterday of another group of Islamic jihadists that now are causing mayhem. Look at it just day before yesterday. The hundreds of Fulani killer headsmen with AK-47 on motorcycle, over 200 motorcycles that I could count, going on the street with guns in a country like Nigeria, and you tell me that there are no terrorists, and you tell me there is no genocide? We cannot continue to hide behind official silence while rivers of innocent blood flow through the valley of Benue, of Plateau, of Kaduna, of Taraba. We, the people, must rewrite our history. Nigeria is a great country. I speak to the younger people. All Nigerian founding fathers ruled this country as youth. Obasanjo, youth. Gowon, youth. Shagari, youth. I can go on and on. Babangida, youth. Tafawa Balewa, youth. Sardauna Sokoto, youth. The same mantle is resting upon the shoulder of younger people today, Nigerians. It is the youth. It is you. The youth that must rise again. You must rise again, not in violence, but in vision, not in violence. Do you see the way the politicians are playing you? Do you see what is going on? I saw the killing that took place just the last 24 hours on the plateau. And all of these places where Christians were wiped away from the community, taken away from the community, the terrorists are there. They are there as I'm talking. Where is the list of the sponsors of terrorists that the United Arab Emirates sent to Nigeria? We have it. You have it as a government. Why don't you go after them? So I am calling on America, and I'm calling on the entire world to put pressure on the Nigerian government. I want the international community to help Nigerian government, help the Tinubu administration. He met it, but he must get to solve the problem. Millions of Christians are right now disarmed. I know how many houses I'm building. I know how many people I am paying their school fees. I know how many people I join in their burial, mass burial. We can't deny the truth. The truth is the truth. What is genocide? I will close with this, and I want you, if you really love your country and you believe that it's time we join forces together, the moderate Muslims and the Christians, we join our hands together to bring a stop to this. President Tinubu, I will tell you, you need to watch some of the people you have as national security advisor, as some of the people as ministers. It's not that Nigerians don't know who are giving strength and power. Some of the senators are blood-tested senators. Senator Buma from Bauchi is there. You can go check the records. How many of the bandits he has kept in his house and gave them ammunition and gave them? It's there. The DSS director, you know them. The chief of defense staff, you know them. You gave an order to go clear them. You know where they are. I know that sometimes your hands are tied. But let Nigerians for once rise up and say enough is enough. The killing, the inflicting harm, the forced displacement. Oh God, I pray that we all come to this point to know that there is only one nation, and this nation is our nation. We must all fight together. So join me in this move. Let's pray at the same time. Let's speak out and cry out for this government to get things right. I want to encourage this government. Stop spending money trying to send people around the world to say that the stories are not true. I mean, America has embassy here. There is no country that doesn't have embassy. Do you know what is going on? All we need to do is for us to say, yes, this evil is on, killing is on. But now we will rise up as a nation, as a government, and flush out this bandit. Nigerians are ready to cooperate. Kwara is being destabilized. Southwest is being destabilized. The entire Northwest now is ungovernable. You had the cry of the governor of Zamfara. What is going on in Borno? The persecution Christians are going through. There is no one Christian in the far north that can tell you they have C of O to their church. In schools, they are not allowed to have their Christian religious knowledge. In this same country, these are citizens and indigents of the land. So today I am appealing to every Nigerian of conscience. You can come and abuse me, you can say whatever, but I am speaking this far for you to know. It's time to wake up. You can see the people that were hired to come, and the people could not hide the truth. But they spoke the truth that there is genocide in Nigeria. We can't continue with these liars in government. Nigeria, you will know the truth. Church leaders, you will know the truth. Imams, you will know the truth. And it is the truth that will set us free. And so I pray that the God of heaven, who hears the cry of the martyr, the blood of the people that were shed, the blood will continue to cry until defense comes for the innocent in this country. May God bless you, and may God watch over every one of you as we join forces together to reclaim the soul of our nation. God bless you.
So my people, that is it. The man of God has just said it all. Like there's no hiding place anymore. The world now knows the truth. Let's look at some of the reactions from Nigerians concerning these particular videos. So this person said, "You just said what every cowardly leader is too scared to admit. This is genocide, not governance. Nigeria is bleeding. Why the corrupt elite zip Japan in denial? The world must hear this cry before the vultures in power bury us all." And another person said, "If you are angry that Christians are claiming there is a genocide against them, then Muslims should also speak up for their people. You say it is a war against Nigeria, and some groups are discussing how it affects them, but you say they should stay silent because it is not only affecting them. If this isn't witchcraft, I don't know what to call it." And this person said, "May God alone bless you richly for speaking the truth that even Khan couldn't admit." That is, Christian Association of Nigeria said there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. It is high time we all came out and joined forces together. My people, as you can see, Nigerians, they know like what is going on in Nigeria. Just that is as if most of us are handicapped or we are kind of scared to speak up. But thank God for the international communities who are now joining voices together with some of Nigerians to speak up. Some are saying that there is motive behind this outcry from USA, that they want to come to Nigeria and take our resources. Like, Nigerians, are you enjoying the resources? There is no resources for you. And upon that, they are still buying you. Like, what are you even gaining from Nigeria as Nigerians? This is the question we're supposed to ask ourselves, honestly. Just calm down and listen to this investigative journalist from UK or US. Like, everything this man said here, my people, where is the lie? Is it not in our crow eyes that we saw like these people buyed a lot of people in Benue State, Plateau State, like children, mothers, while they were asleep? Like, where is the lie? Anyway, as I make I bring this update to you guys, please do well to subscribe for more updates, like the video so that YouTube will recommend it to other people to watch, share it, and also leave your thoughts in the comment section. I will see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.